Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com, and this is part of a two-part video series where I'm going to be going over sort of collaborating in a team, uh, in a coding team. Okay, so the first kind of concept we want to understand, and then again, the focus of this video is going to be more like teams of like 3 or 4. So the number of roles, so like instead of just having like one tech lead, bigger, bigger teams are going to have like scrum masters, tech leads, project owners. There's going to be a whole bunch of people who have sort of uh, supervisional responsibilities. In a team of 3 or 4, you're talking about just should be like one person who's kind of playing the role of tech lead, scrum master, all those kind of things, keeping track of all the things that need to be kept track of. But it is important to have one, and to have a setup to communicate. And one of those is to have some sort of scrum board, which is sort of a setup like this. Okay, so essentially you have several boards. And what happens at the very beginning of, let's say, a sprint is a period of time in which you're going to accomplish X features. Okay, so let's say 2 weeks to accomplish 3 or 4 features in your application. Now, those features should entail a certain user experience. Okay, so we're talking about authentication. The user should be able to like hit a login form, hit login, and it'll go pretty smoothly. So that's a user story. So generally, you start off here, like let's say this to-dos could be called backlogs. You start by detailing user stories and the specific things that need to be created to make those user stories happen. So you start with the user experience, and then start writing down all the things that are needed to create that user experience. And these are essentially your to-dos, your backlog. You assign those to developers on the team, so then they move that over to in progress, so that way we know that, hey, someone's working on that, who's working on it. Then what they'll do is when they're done, they will push their code up to GitHub. They'll set up a particular branch. They will then make a pull request to the the staging branch, develop branch, whatever you decide to call it. This is where the tech lead will then review the branch, accept the pull request, test it out before merging it back to master. So once they approve it and everything is good, they'll merge that branch back into master, and you have completed the ticket. So the goals, you have all these tickets at the beginning of the sprint. You move them all the way to the other side. That's essentially the game. And then at the end of the 2 week sprint, you assess why did you get everything done, what went well, why didn't you get everything done, what went not so well. And you should also be doing this daily through what's called a daily stand up, where everyone gets together, talks about what they've been doing, how they've been doing, all that stuff. It's just to kind of reiterate that workflow. Okay, again, someone gets a ticket, they're going to create a branch off the master branch. Okay, and that branch is going to have, that's where they're going to work on a particular feature. And then once they're done with their feature, they'll push it up to GitHub, and then they will then make a pull request to the dev branch, which is the branch where everything kind of gets collected and tested. Tech lead will make sure that everything's working, and then it'll get merged into the master main branch where the actual web application that your average user sees actually experiences. So you don't want this merged here until you know it's 100% working. But essentially that's the process. Okay, I get a ticket, I make a branch. When I'm done with, I make a pull request gets approved, I move on to the next ticket, and eventually the tech lead merges everything into master. Okay, sorry for all the sirens. I do live in Brooklyn, and there's always sirens and car horns and sounds. Okay, but that's the basic idea here. Okay, now in the second video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through just kind of getting a project started, set up for your team to work on, and sort of what the Git terms and terminology are, so that way you're familiar with it. Okay, so my name is Alex Merced from Alex Merced Coder. Hopefully this gives you an idea. Also, let me just quickly mention to you some of the tools you'd use for like using a Scrum board. You could use Trello. Trello's kind of like built for this kind of thing. So if I go to Trello and take a look at like this fake project board, see like backlog, you would list sort of all the different user stories and tasks associated with them here. And then again, you can see like tickets associated with a particular developer, and then they would kind of, let's say I got to assign this one. I make the pull request and move it over here, and then I move it over here when it's done. and you're seeing all these tickets kind of move from left to right. You could also use Airtable. I do have an Airtable template, which I'll include in the video description. So let me just bring that up real quick. Okay, and here is the Airtable one. It's a template that I made. So basically, when you click on this link, this is like read only, so you can't edit it. And you just click here to copy the base. But basically, there's different views that are built in. So you can, here's like the Scrum board view. So here's like backlog, progress, and you'd be able to drag and drop these things between them. But then I can also click on this view to see that all the different tasks based on who they're assigned to. And then if you have multiple projects, you can go to this tab, add multiple projects, and then I can see which tasks are associated with what project, and then a tab for like any notes for the project. And then I have another template using Google Sheets, which I'll also link to. I'll show you that real quick. This one, instead of like having a board where you drag cards, you just have your task and who's it assigned to, and you just check off the boxes as you move towards deployed, and you put your notes over here. Okay, here you put the details for this particular project, and you can put other notes here. Okay, and then again, when you look at this, you would just do file, make a copy to make your own copy. So I'll put those links in the video description. I'll see you guys in a bit.